So today I would like to go through equipment training, starting with the desktop tools that we have. So let's move into the title, benchtop desktop tools. So let's take one of those boxes off the desk here. Right. So over here, let's take a look at this camera. Okay. So we have two of those boxes in each desk. If the content doesn't match what's on the content list, for example, if you have two items, that becomes a problem because I will have to search 20 boxes to find it. So if anything in this box doesn't match with this list, okay, you take it out and you put it somewhere in the back. Here is a box of lost items or duplicate items or things that you do not want in here. You can also go back to that box and check what it is. Whether the title you might be missing is there. So let's take a look. We have calipers. Right, these guys. Let's open a caliper. These calipers have a unique feature, meaning it has an on button, or it doesn't automatically go off. So if you put them into the container and don't turn it off, battery will be empty and we have to deal with battery. I will go through some more details on these items. Right, this is an item where you can measure diameter, you can measure inside diameter, and you can also measure the depth with the piece in the back. So we will use this in a little bit. That was the first item that we have in here. Metal ruler. That is pretty clear. Alright, that's actually backwards in here, but doesn't really matter. I believe it has centimeters and inches, and what you need to be careful here is that it does not start at zero. Right? On this side here, it doesn't start at zero. So there's a little bit of extra metal in the beginning. Next item on the list. What is that? Measuring tape. Okay. Measuring tape. So I have a measuring tape. Pretty easy. It has a lock here. So if you pull this out and engage the lock, it does not come back. This is plastic material. If you drop it, likely it breaks. Okay. There's a little feature here on the top. It's actually interesting when you measure the length. When you pull on this feature, it's supposed to move in and out. Can you see here? It goes in and out. And the amount it moves is exactly the width of the metal here. So when you measure on the inside, you pull, and you measure it on the inside, and the tape becomes a little longer. If you measure from a corner, you push, and it goes in exactly the amount of this material, and again, your measurement will be accurate. Okay, so that's our tape measure. Inch Allen wrench set. So we have 3 Allen wrench sets in here, right? One is called, here in this case here, somebody wrote inch, the other one is called metric, and the other one is called hex. So that's not quite the right names. But this one here is fractional. Don't call this standard, please. It is not the standard on the world. This is a fractional unit. It's usually used in the US and in Great Britain. So you can call it imperial if you want to, but it's not standard. This one here is metric because it has full numbers, right? This is 10. That means it's 10 millimeter in diameter. One here it says 1.5. That's 1.5 millimeter in diameter. So some of those Allen wrenches, you use those for tightening screws, but some of those Allen wrenches are very similar in diameter with the fractional ones. So I will show you, or in the assignment, you will actually need to measure and figure out whether one of them could switch. And the third one here, it's also an Allen wrench, but it has this star-shaped entry. With these ones, these are called Torx, T-O-R-X. These ones you can apply the highest amount of torque to your screw. Right? The amount of torque you can apply to the screw when you turn this is the surface area at the surface area furthest away from the radius. So you'll have a lot of surface area to push against the screw when you use torque screws. So when you make a modern design, almost everybody now uses torque screws. In the lab we have a few of those. So these are the items that you're supposed to find in here, right? The fractional Allen wrenches, the metric Allen wrenches, and the torques Allen wrenches, and those measurement tools. If the items are not there, please try to go and check in the lost and found box and pick one up there and put it back in there. If you have two items of the same kind, take it out and put it in the lost and found box. Okay? So let's take a look at the second box here. What's in the second box? Again, there's an inventory list at the top. Wire cutter, wire stripper, crimper, needle nose pliers. Nose pliers usually, we have box cutter, metal tweezer, screw memory mat, and one box of bits. Okay, let's take a look at the first one. Wire cutter. Okay, there's a bunch of tools here. One of them is your wire cutter. And which one is your wire cutter? This is your wire cutter. Okay, you use this to cut wires. You can also trim your fingernails, but it's not made to cut screws, only copper wires. Right? Small diameter copper wires. If you drop this and it falls onto the tip will bend and this becomes useless. You want the tip here to be as close together as possible, and you can already see on this one that actually dropped and it looks like this at the tip. So this is a defect or damaged wire cutter. It will still cut, but it no longer cuts at the tip. Okay, wire stripper. Okay, this is a tool. You can use the back here to cut wires, but the front you can strip away insulation. Let me get some wires and I'll show you. So you would use your wire cutter to cut a piece from the spool, and then you have the wire that you want to strip the sides, right? You cannot, there's no connection at the tips because there is insulation on it. So which of those grooves in here do you need to use to cut? Either you know the diameter or you start with the largest one. Right? Start the largest ones. If something like this happens, that means it was starting to cut into the copper wires, and this wire stripper is not having a large enough groove to cut this properly. You want to cut just the insulation and not the copper wires. Okay, so let's take a smaller one in here. All right, cut this and pull on it. Now we have the bare strands of the wire. Right, these are the individual strands, stranded wire exposed. Okay. You will want to make sure when you use the wire stripper that you start with the biggest size stripper, and then go gradually down until you get the best cutting performance. The best cutting performance is so that your insulation comes off, but none of the wires inside get damaged by the cutter. Okay, you can also cut this off here. Okay, at the tip there's a little bit of a gripper if you need to pull on something. Okay, so we got the wire stripper. Now the crimper. We will have a special sessions where I will show you how to crimp. Once you have removed insulation, you can crimp metal parts onto your wire that will then be inserted into a connector, so you can connect the cables with a professional connector to your device. You would need a crimper for this, and again, these are different sizes of materials. You will see this in another lab. Needle nose pliers. Okay, these are truly needle shape. Some of them you have might be actually wider, and it's just nose pliers. But these are our needle nose pliers to grab small things. Okay, you can hold nuts with this, or just whatever will need to be grabbed with make this kind of tool. So what's the next thing? Box cutter, right? This is our box cutter. You can cut materials on top of this cutting mat. If the tip here, like this one, is broken off, and maybe it's time to replace the blade if needed, okay? You will, in your assignments, you will go through taking this apart and replacing the blade. There's usually storage inside here for additional blades. Okay, what else do we have? Metal tweezers. Okay. When you do soldering, surface mount soldering, you will need tweezers to hold your electronic parts. Again, these tips here are very delicate. If it drops and you bend the tip, you basically destroyed your tweezers. You have cheap tweezers that may cost $1, and you get Swiss quality tweezers that will cost you $20. This is probably something in between, right? Stainless steel. And it looks like somebody already was grinding off the tip and tried to reshape and rebuild these tweezers. Okay. Screw mat. This came with a phone repair kit. So if you have a bunch of screws and don't want to lose them, you can put them on top here. This is magnetic. They will not run off. And then the other item in here is called one box of bits. It's really not a box of bits. It's a phone repair tool. Right, you have screwdriver. This side. Really cheap tweezers. Some extensions. And on the other side, you have a set of any possible screw that you could find in your laptop or your phone. Right, a laptop repair, I think this number 4 screw here, 4-bit. Some of the laptop screws need these really tiny inserts in order to tighten and remove. So you will get them in here. It's magnetic, it doesn't fall out. Okay, and then you can use this to tighten, loosen your screws. Okay, I think we're set with these materials. This is usually used to pry open the back of your laptop or pry open your phone. If the bits for some chains are no longer magnetic, don't go in here. This is a tool. You just put them in here. This is a strong magnet, and they will become magnetized again. Okay. Please don't lose parts. If you have something double, you can put them in the circular spots. Okay, so these are the tools we have in the desk.